Hello again, it's me. I'm back again with some more paint. I apologise if you're not really into paint, but I'm trying to get through these videos of you sort of swatching out and looking at the paints so that I can get on and use them in lots and lots of projects. So today I am going to be using the Qor Watercolors. So welcome back if you are somebody who's already seen some of my videos, and welcome if you are new to my channel. If you do enjoy what you see, do please give me a subscribe, and if you enjoy the video, do please give it a thumbs up and a like. That's always appreciated. And so today I am going to be looking at, in particular, this introductory set of Qor colours. Now, Qor is not new. It is newish to me. In the last year, I've really discovered it and loved it. But when I look on YouTube and places, there are videos going back like 6 years. So I knew of Golden, who are the producers of Qor, because I used to, in my art journey, use predominantly actually acrylic paints. And so I knew of their acrylic paints, and I have used and still do use some of their acrylic mediums in other sorts of work. But I didn't realise that they actually produced watercolours until 2024. So they are a late discovery for me, but I am absolutely loving them. But from what I can see, people seem to either have a love or a hate relationship with them. They have a special binder in them called Aquazole, which is to help give them vibrant colours. But another effect of that Aquazole is that it makes them very flowy. I love that word, flowy. They flow really easily and quickly through water across your page. So that means that if you are somebody who likes to do very precise watercolour work, they may not be suitable for that. But like I say, with a lot of products, I suppose there probably are some really bad products on the market. But on the whole, with good quality watercolours, it's really just about what you're looking for in your paint. Now for me, I love these because I do very abstract backgrounds with mixed media elements. So for me, I love how they flow together, and apparently if you use them alongside other watercolors, they very much will flow into this, so you can get some fabulous effects. So if that's what you're looking for, these may be something that you are interested in. They're not cheap, I have to say, and I am in the UK, and as far as I'm aware, these are an American company. I am willing to be corrected on that if I am wrong, but that means that for us, they are not the least expensive paints out there. So, you know, that is also something to consider. But I have just sort of collected a few of the different colour sets rather than buying a big set, because I started with the high chroma, which are the really, really bright colours, because I love bright colours in my work, and then I went for the earth set because ironically I then also do love very vintagey, subtle, muted colours. And then I wanted to, this year, go with the introductory set because I want to really focus this year on mixing colours myself a bit more and experimenting with what colours I can make when I use cool primaries and warm primaries. And so that's why I wanted to go with this one. So originally, these are my other two sets. Now these come in tubes. So I apologise if you know this information, but I'm going to go through it in case people don't. I cut all this packaging up for me to pop into my tin. Now these came in 2 tins. So I've emptied my tubes into 1 tin. Now they say they're 5mm tubes. They actually, I think they're quite big 5mm tubes. So I'm not sure if they are, if there's more than 5mm in these, but they certainly look bigger than other 5mm tubes I've had. But a little goes a very long way with these paints. So they are sort of, it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Because it's not a lot in there. You get 6 tubes in these sets. You can buy sets of 12. I do believe you can buy a set of 24. There are sets of pans as well, but I went for these because I wanted these particular colours. So in here now, I've got 12 tubes. I've got the earth colours and the high chroma. And I've decided to just put them all in one, and then I can use the tins for other things if I need to. Oh, what I didn't mention as well is in the top of your tin, you do get these lovely sort of circles to act as a palette, which I think is so cool. It's cool to look at even if you don't use it as a palette. So I have done out a swatch card. I'm not going to swatch every single colour I've got. I'm going to focus on the introductory colours for swatching, because I have previous videos which I will try and link the most recent one I did with Qor at the end of the video in the end card thingy. I don't know the technical terms. So I will just swatch out the new colours I have. Now this is onto Bockingford, which is a cellulose paper. It's not cotton, but it is a good quality cellulose paper. I've just chosen this because it's what I've got the most of, sort of in separate sheets or in a pad, that I don't mind sort of just using to swatch out. But I will be doing a project at the end of the video in my Cardi water fat book, which is 100% cotton rag watercolour. So you'll see the different effects that you can get. Now this is how I currently have been storing, so to speak, my paint when it's put out. Now I've used up those two colours, so because I'm gradually trying to use up what's in here so that then I can use this palette for something else. So this is the high chroma, that was the two other high chromas, and these are the earth colours. But I did, for Christmas, ask for this travel watercolour palette by Bowerbird. I see it's a travel palette. The chances of me actually travelling with a palette are probably quite low, but you know, I got it anyway. And it did come, I have to say, in its original box with two of these little I'm going to guess they're either resin or glass, I'm not sure, like peanuts to act as a brush holder. So I thought they were really cute. I wasn't expecting those. So I mostly chose this. If I was totally honest, if I'd have been buying this myself, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But because I was asking for gifts, it's something, you know, I like to ask for gifts that are things that I will use and I do want, but I wouldn't necessarily buy myself because I would think, I don't really need to buy that. So that was why I asked for it, and it is beautiful, and that's why I sort of picked it, because I love the actual tin, but also because inside it has an actual ceramic palette. Now, I hadn't really thought it through. I hadn't thought about how tiny these little wells are, but I'm going to use it anyway. I'm going to fill it with my Qor because I think my Qor deserve a beautiful palette, and so that is why it's going in there. It probably won't travel anywhere, but it will be here. And my idea is that I could take the paint out, I can put it in here, or I can put it on a bigger plate and get, you know, bigger amounts, but then I can free up this palette to use for other things, for what it should be being used for, rather than storing paint. Also, I do worry that this is going to get dirty and dusty and cat hair and all sorts, you know, on it. So I wanted a palette that I could actually close up and it would be protected in there as well. Now, it does come with these, it comes with two little swatch cards, which I'm very confused about. It's got 16 wells, which is slightly inconvenient because I've got 18 colours, but I've already decided the two that probably won't be going in. But on this swatch card, there's only 12 spaces, so I sort of feel like this is probably meant for another palette, but that feels a little bit more like it could be a hot press watercolour paper or something like that. This one is quite shiny. This one actually does have the whole, actually this has 18 spaces in it, so it does also isn't this. It says watercolour, but it feels quite shiny, so I'm not actually going to use those. I'm going to do my swatch on here, and then it will just sit near my paint so that I've got the whole lot there anyway. So we'll take those out. You also get your mixing palettes here. You get your, you know, your wells there. That's not holding particularly flat, but to be fair, I never really use that, so it's not really going to be a problem for me. This does come out, and there is a bit of foam along there. Now, I have had this out to look at, so I did take that out, but I found that when I took that out, this is quite rattly within the tin, so I popped it back in because it just made it a little bit less sort of movable, so it's more in place, which I thought if I took that out and that's rattling around, that was actually going to be quite annoying. But you've got a nice big sort of ceramic mixing space there, which, you know, I really like. Like I say, if you are somebody who travels about with your paints, it's nice for the amount. I'm not quite sure how much of a travel palette I would, because it's quite heavy. So I'm not sure whether that's something that people would do. But I mean, aesthetically, it's beautiful. Whether it's practical, I can't really say because I don't tend to travel about with my paints. But there you go. So I'm going to get these ones out of the box now. So they do come with pigment information on the tubes. So if you're like me and your eyesight's, you know, on the decline, what I ended up, to be honest, I had to do was I had to get my iPad and I had to zoom in to get the information, because for me, even with my glasses on, I am struggling to read this. So I have written all the information already out because I could not have done that. You do get the names of the colours on the back of here, but you know, it doesn't give you any of the other information. All the information is on your actual tube. So this is how they come. So like I said, up with the others, I took this cardboard out, I've put them all in one tin, and then I'll keep in my tins that I can use them for something else, to store something else in, or I can make a palette in the future. But what I did was I just cut these bits off here, and I cut these bits off here, just so that I have got the names. And I know this isn't a brilliant representation of colours, but you know, it gives you a little bit of an idea, and you get your little book. Tells you the colours in the range if you're interested in that, but I would put those up there. So I am going to take a little bit off of each one to do the colours that I haven't swatched before, so that I haven't already done. So it's just these 6 colours. What am I looking for? I'm looking for a brush. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to get, what have we got? Where's one of my new brushes? This is the trouble when I put them all in here. I can't tell. They all start to blend into each other, the brushes. What's this? That's a very big brush. That's not the one I want. Let's have this oval wash one. So this is one of my new ones, these Princeton Neptunes, which again were a gift for Christmas. Were they Christmas or birthday? I can't remember. So I just love the shape of that. I think it's beautiful. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out, and do you know what? I might put just in this, just so it can be here. So the first colour I've got that's new is the Hansa Yellow Light. Now I'm just going to put I'm going to try to put the tiniest little bit on here, because I do not want to put loads back out into this palette. There we go. That is the tiniest bit, isn't it? And let's move these off of here. Let's get some water. I'm going to put a bit of water down there so you can see how it flows as well. So let me just check. Suddenly had a thought, have I got the right colour? Yes, I have. So I've done my black line so we can see the opacity or the transparency. And then let's get a bit, and I don't think I put enough water down there, to be honest. What I have noticed on these paints is that they have light fast ratings, but they're all like different systems, which I found very confusing. And some of the tubes have staining and transparency information, and some don't. They all have the pigment information though, so I'm guessing if that's something you're interested in, that is the most important thing. But basically, 1 was excellent, light fastness. 2, very good. 3, fair. 4 was a question mark because I looked this up and it didn't have a word for it. And 5 was poor. They're all, I think, 1 and 2. So they're all excellent or good for light fastness, which if that's something that is important to you, then obviously that is important information. Now this one is Pyro Red Light. I'm going to put it a little tiny bit here. Come on. So when you try and do a tiny bit, so that wasn't a tiny bit. And that's squishing out the end a little bit there. So right, let's get a bit of, let's put more water down this time on here. Let's do, oh, see how that sort of just doing sound effect. Oh, that's mixing into that one, so we'll try and stay away from that. I've just put it on the wrong one. Oh, I knew I was going to do that. It's because I put all the colours on here and I knew that I would try and put it on the wrong thing. Let's just pick that up a little bit. Oh, I may have to do another one and stick it over the top. Oh dear. It's because I wrote all the colours out in order and then I forgot that I was not actually swatching them in order. So the Pyrrole red light is actually here. There we go. It still did the same. Let's give that there. This is light fastness 1. What I will do is I will take a picture at the end of the swatch card, and I will put it right at the end of the video as a still. So if you want to screenshot it for the information, then you can do that. Right, the next one is permanent alizarin crimson, which is here. I won't stick it there. Oh dear. Right, let's put tiny bit. Tiny, come on. Trying to put a tiny bit is worse than trying to put a big bit. Come on. Doesn't want to come out. Why do you not want to come out? Oh, no, I knew I put too much. It took so long to try and come out that it decided that it wanted to be a big blob. If you can hear the squeaking of my chair, I do apologise. It's started doing that recently. I think it needs a bit of oil or something. Right, let's get a bit of this. Oh, see how quickly that just goes into there. I love this colour. This is one of my favourites, along with like the quinacridone magenta. These are my kind of colours. What that is in there, let's get that out. A bit of a blob. So this one, it says, is staining, fully staining. These ones didn't have any staining or transparency information. This one says it's staining and it's transparent, but it's a light fastness 2, so it's not quite as light fast as the Pyrrole red apparently. Then the next one is phthalo blue green shade, which is here. So, oops, see if I can just put it there. Oh, there, that's all right, that little tiny bit. You probably can't even hear the chair squeaking, it's just me. Right, let's put some, oh, nearly went in the wrong place. There we go. Spread straight away. And this one is light fastness 2 as well, but there's no transparency or staining information on the tube. It may be that these are older sets and so therefore they haven't got them on here, but I don't know if they're on the newer ones. It's an ultramarine. You can see why this is an introductory set, because it is mostly the primaries. I'm not quite sure why you get 1 yellow, 2 reds, 2 blues, and then you get a brown, but I'm sure there is a very sensible reason why that is the case. Let's ultramarine. There we go. They all have that flow. Now this one is light fast 1. Now this one did have more information. This one is semi-transparent, which I'm going to guess is the same as semi-opaque, and it's partially staining and it's also granulating, but I think that is a known. I don't know tons about pigments. I would say if you'd like to know about pigments, somebody who I follow on YouTube, you may or may not follow him, is Illustrations by Pete. I'll link him in the description box, because he knows a lot about pigments and what the different numbers are. And so I think if I studied it, if I looked at it a bit more, I would. But to be honest, because most of my work, all of my work, I'm not selling. It's going in. It's for fun. So I don't worry too much, because I don't think that I'll be my sketchbooks will be being passed along for the future generations of anybody really. So this last one is burnt sienna natural. So here that goes there. So apart from that first little, the second little blip where I put it in the wrong place, not doing too bad. There we go. So they all do that. That's fantastic. I love that, and that is what I love. Now this is light fast 1, so excellent light fastness. It is semi-opaque, it is semi-staining, and it is granulating. For people who would like to know that information. So those are those 6 colours. No, I'm not going to do that. I was just going to leave that brush in that water then, and I thought, no, I'll take it out and lay it down. So those are the 6 new colours. What I will do is I will now go off. I will swatch the others. I might have to put something on here to cover that one up now. And then I will come back and we will put some into my tin in the order. I'll tell you why I'm doing the order I'm doing. And then I will make some, might do a little bit of colour mixing. Yes, I think we'll do a bit of colour mixing. And then I'll make a project which I will time lapse, and you can watch like in a bit of fast forward with a bit of nice music. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so I have finished swatching out. It's still a bit damp, but I'm just going to show it to you now because I will then fill up my palette. What I will do is I'll do that on a time lapse because I don't think you need to see me squeeze each one in, but I think it'd be nice to quite nice to leave it in. I decided the sheer laziness of myself is I couldn't be bothered to cut another square out, so I put some water on what I'd put down and dragged up as much of the colour as I could, and then I thought, well, you can see the colour, it's only for me. This is not, you know, when you're doing your swatching, it's mostly, you know, unless you're doing it on a video, then it's for you to be useful, and I can still see exactly what that colour, I've still got all the information. I wasn't going to sort of go through either starting a new chart or putting a new one over there. So I apologise if that offends anybody, but it is what it is. And so there's all the colours. Now I've decided I'm going to go more with the order on here right up to raw umber. Now I've decided to leave out of this palette the transparent brown oxide and the Venetian red, just because I want these colours the most. I haven't got a black or anything like that, so I thought raw umber would be a useful one to have in there because it's a dark. And then I have these 3 sort of reddy orangey browns left, and I decided that I think the burnt sienna is possibly the one I like the best out of those 3. I do love those ones, especially the Venetian red, but I can always just squeeze a little bit into the middle of the palette if I'm ever wanting to use those as well. So what I will do is I will now, as that dries, fill my palette up, and then I'll be back with you. Well, you'll see it, but you'll see it fast. Okay, so what did I learn from doing that? I learnt that some paints are a lot more fluid than others. I learned that my left hand is a lot weaker than my right hand when undoing caps or paints. I also learned once you've put the paint in, don't start messing about trying to clean anything up, because you just get yourself in a bigger mess. So I have ended up with little bits, but it doesn't matter. It's going to dry, and then I will be using that. I will wait for it to dry and then use that for my painting with Qor. Obviously I can only put a little brush in here though, which I can put a big brush in there, so that's going to be a little bit of a sort of downside of it, but I do like them in there, and it gives them somewhere nice to live, where instead of having to be in this palette, which I'm going to put this palette aside. Now there are a couple of colours that are not in here because the cobalt teal and the green gold I used up, and I've just put other colours in there now. But this is my swatch. Now I have to admit, as I was moving this to put the paint into the palette, it tipped and this was wet and it went across here, so I've dabbed it off, so that now is probably not exactly a quinacridone gold colour there, but it, you know, it's a good enough representative, so I will still take a photo of it and put it at the end, because it is still useful. It's, even if it's just for your information of your pigments and your light fastness and things like that. So that is the swatch card, and I will put that up there. I thought I'd do a little bit of colour mixing just to see. Now I've got some, you have to excuse this coming through. This is colour mixing on the previous page, but I'm hoping that will not show through too much. And then I'm going to do a project on this one, which I will time lapse at the end. So rather than doing like a whole watercolour palette, I thought I'd do some mixes of to make a specific colour. So I thought I'd be interested to see what I can get with the different yellows and greens that I have. So I'm going to take, hopefully that's, well, that's maybe not going to be the best one to use. Let's use the Naples yellow then. Let's have a little look at Naples yellow with a bit of water, might help, and we'll see what we get when we mix perhaps a Naples yellow, which I'm thinking is more of a warmer sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Yellow. With the ultramarine. I'm not getting enough water here, am I, at all? A bit of ultramarine. So let's then do both of these. Let's go Naples yellow. I've no idea, but this is sort of what I want to do this year. I want to experiment with different colours. Oops, that's the yellows again. I thought I was going in the blue. Don't know what was going on then. And let's add a little bit of just mixing on the page, just so that I can save on mixing palettes. A little bit more yellow into that, because I've made it very sort of like a greyish green. I like that, actually, quite a nice green. And this is Cardi paper. It's 100% cotton rag, and it is very rough, so it does sort of like sometimes peel up a little bit if you add a lot of water. Let's see. Oh, see, I want to use a little bit of that Naples yellow just to compare now. So let me grab it back out of the tin. This could be fun, couldn't it, trying to find this now in here. Is it going to be right? Not Naples yellow, Hansa yellow light. There it is. So I put all of the paints. Oh, just to say as well that after I squeezed them into the palette, I did go back through and make sure all the lids were on properly, because I hadn't put the lids on totally correctly when I was doing it. So I did go back and do that and wipe them down where needed, just in case you was thinking, oh, she's going to have dried out paints. Because exactly, I don't want my paints to be dried out in the tubes. Right, so let's have some Hansa yellow light, which is a cooler yellow. And let's have a bit of phthalo blue. And then let's do a mix on the page. less there than there was on the other one. And let's go with that on the top. Add a bit more yellow into that. Well, that's a much brighter green. That's the cooler. So even just with two really simple sort of mixes, and I'm not doing that very precisely at all, you can see how you can get some nice different shades of colour. And that was why I wanted to really focus on the sort of like the classics and the introductory colours this year, because I want to see what I can do. I'm thinking of doing like a colour chart. Lindsay Weirich, the Frugal Crafter, she has a chart that she does where she puts the colours on the top and down the side and then shows all the different mixes. I thought that might be nice. So if you think that's something you'd like to see me do with maybe the introductory colours, then do let me know in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, do please consider giving me a subscribe. That's really helpful. And if you like this video, do please give it a thumbs up. Any comments I do try to get back to. Well, I sort of, if I don't comment, it may be because I've missed your comment. Sometimes if you reply on somebody else's comment, it doesn't always flag that up to me. So do make sure that you comment separately if you can, so that it will then notify me that there's a comment. Okay, so thank you very much for watching so far. If you want to see me now use these with a project, do keep watching. I will time lapse and you can have a little bit of nice calming music to that too. Until the next time, thank you very much for watching. See you soon.